Well, good evening and welcome to the Gold Goats and Guns Hour here on YouTube. My name is Tom Luongo and we have a lot to talk about. It is Tuesday, July 26th, 2022. I hope everybody is well. I hope everything is working properly. As always, Boomer Tech and all the rest of it. You know, if I get it wrong, well, I get it wrong. We'll be here on YouTube for about 15 or 18 minutes or so, and then we'll move over to Odysee and we'll start throwing the link into the chat as we speak. The stream is ready. All we have to do is, the container's ready. All we have to do is move over. So, all right. Well, good evening. So, yesterday, I woke up yesterday, starting looking at the headlines, doing the thing for the week. I got my the latest stuff that I've got to produce for Newsmax. Let's do all this week. So I started checking the headlines over, start figuring out what I'm going to do. And I know that I need to write at least one public blog post before I shut myself in my room for 3 days and, you know, take care of all my other stuff. So all the other paywall stuff today, right? And I look up and I see all of this concentration of headlines around the idea that the Biden administration is now going to change the definition of a recession. Because, you know, and I just had to laugh, right? Because, I mean, what else is new? I mean, when you're losing, right? When you're desperate, when things aren't going your way, well, then you have to change the rules of the game. And there's no greater admission that you have nothing, to run on for the midterm elections than changing the definitions of something that is unpleasant to your side of the story. Now, we all know that we live in a world of management of perspective, blah. Management of perspective, economics, politics, gender, law, I don't know, war, all of it. Everything is always, we have to massage everything. We all live in like Edward Bernays' freaking fever dream, for fuck's sake. And I you know, at some point, this becomes counterproductive, is the nicest way of putting it. The best way to put it is that it becomes insulting. Because at a certain point, you look up and you just say to yourself, do you really think that the people that you're trying to communicate to are that fucking stupid? Or, you know, we got away with this shit during COVID. I guess we can get away with it now. And it is insane to think, well, it's not a recession. Well, why isn't it a recession? Well, because experts that, you know, we pay say it's not a recession, therefore it's not a recession. I mean, even CNN is looking at this stuff going, come on, like, we avoided a recession for 13 years under Obama and everybody else, and under Trump, under Obama and Trump, because, you know, Ben Bernanke saved the world back in 2008, 2009, right? And we never printed a recession, and they use that very technical definition of a recession to ensure that they could never say it was a recession. Well, no, it really wasn't. And it's telling you just how tenuous their grasp of not just reality, which we've always known they have a tenuous grasp of reality. They're communists, for fuck's sake. By definition, they have a tenuous grasp of reality. But not just that, but of power and the sense of their own power. They know they're going to lose badly in the midterms, and so because of that, they're just playing this game now. Excuse me, I'm just fine tuning. They're just playing this thing out in such a way as to hope that they can keep some portion of their base on side. The way I put it in my blog post yesterday, it's like, this is the way they get to appeal to their midwit base to say, oh, no, we're really, we're really smart because we still only listen to experts. Who the fuck are you? You're not an economist. You don't have a thing. You don't have a degree. You don't have a this. You don't work for the New York Times. You're not Paul Krugman, who admitted finally that he was wrong about inflation. Like, and this is just cope. It's just, denial. It's just the Kubler-Ross model writ large. It's all of those things. And, it's fine if you want to live in that kind of world where you want to deny reality in order to make yourself feel better about the shitty world that you've helped create. Well, that's fine. But stop making us live in that world too. Okay? Because it's like, at some point, you just have to, like, wake up and realize that, yeah, it sucks. The people that you backed suck. The people that you put your faith in suck. And it's time to grow up, stop being a fucking child, and just admit it. And then move on with your life. So, I really wish that we could get to that state. But we can't get to that state. We're just not allowed. Right? We're just not allowed. So, it's not going to be a recession. Mama Yellen was out there prepping the fucking narrative last week. Well, I don't see it that it's going to be a recession, and I'm an official smart person. She may be the dumbest person ever walk the hallowed halls, and I use that term loosely, of the Mariner Eccles building, which, for those of you who don't know, is the home of the Federal Reserve in New York. Like, but, that doesn't matter. She's an official smart person, so she says there's not going to be a recession. And then Biden goes out there and, Biden only knows when his Jell-O is going to get served and when his Depends are fucking full at this point. Like, he knows whether it's a recession or not. It's just dumb. Like, it's pathetic. And it just tells you they know they're in serious trouble. They know everything is falling apart. They know that the data that's coming out later in the week is going to be horrific. They know that the Federal Reserve is going to raise at least 75 basis points on Wednesday. So, that's what it is. So, I don't really have much to say beyond that. This is a bad implementation. This is maybe the worst implementation of MOPE and by extension MOP, management of perspective economics begets management of perspective politics, that I've seen in quite a long time. It's one thing to watch the Ukrainians go out there every day and deny reality and now call for, certain banks, and I found it really funny, certain banks to be prosecuted for war crimes for doing business with Russia. Like, excuse the fuck out of me, but last I checked, JP Morgan is not a combatant. They're not, like, they're allowed to trade. The Russians are offering oil up in the open market. Just because they happen to be at war with Ukraine doesn't mean that everybody in the world has to be at war with Russia. But this is the way the Ukrainians are placing this, are framing this. And the only thing more pathetic, than the Biden administration trying to management of perspective away the idea that we're going to be in a recession coming into the midterm elections, it is the fact that they continue to bray at the top of their voices that Ukraine fucking matters in this world. Like, I'm fucking over it. I'm so over all of it. Like, I don't give a shit what the Russians do in Ukraine anymore. I don't give a shit what the Ukrainians complain about. This thing should have been over months ago. Any rational set of actors would have ended the fucking war in Ukraine months ago, and everybody would have come to the table, given a little ground, and called a ceasefire and stopped, the killing. But nope, sorry, can't have that. We have to have fucking coke fiend, fucking kid fucker Zelensky. I don't give a shit whether he is or he isn't, out there all day long, ginning up more war death, spending more of my money, spending more of your money. All for what? The great glorious cause to stop who? The Russians? Like it or not, the Russians have a beef with the West, NATO, Ukraine, Poland, Germany, the UK, the United States, and everybody and their brother. And if they don't like the fact that they were setting Ukraine up to be, you know, fucking Globostan for the WEF, and they didn't want that on their fucking border, well, you know, and then point missiles at the Russians, dumb. Like, I'm at this point where I just don't give a shit anymore. It doesn't matter whether it's right, wrong, or different. It doesn't matter whether Ukraine was or was not a sovereign state in some vague definition of the word. It doesn't matter that we had nominal GDP growth for the last 13 years. We haven't had real GDP growth because they have to print $14 fucking or $28 worth of debt in order to get a dollar's worth of GDP growth. That's not growth. That's $27 worth of loss by anything rational. But, you know, we live in a world where government spending from money printed out of thin air is somehow a thing. It's somehow a thing that creates, you know, wealth. I mean, all these definitions are all bullshit in the first place. Like, GDP growth based on government debt is not growth. Because remember, GDP is gross national spending, right? It's not gross national product. That's a bullshit term too. That's also another one of these euphemisms for horse shit. It's just gross national spending. We just roughly total up how much money we spent and we say, well, we outputted that much. Well, that's not the truth. Not when government spending is 25 cents on every dollar we spend. And the government is running, you know, a massive budget deficit. It's not growth. It's not. Real growth comes from savings and the multiplication of win-win transactions in the open market. It's real wealth comes from the saving of time through the application of individuals' comparative advantage, or individuals or firms' comparative advantage. I'm better at making shoes than you're better at making, you know, I don't know, pottery. We trade. I save a couple of hours making I save you a couple of hours making you shoes, and you save me a couple of hours making me some dinner plates. Like, that's the way it's supposed to work. And that's what wealth is. Wealth is a measure of stored time. Wealth generated through debt is costing us time. It's borrowed time. It's borrowed wealth. All growth. Joshua Vanderplatz, that's all GDP is. It's spending. That's it. That's all it is. But it says nothing about the quality of the spending. It says nothing about what we actually spent the money on. If we spend the money on Ukrainian hookers and bullets, well, I don't know. Does that constitute growth? What happens when we run out of debt that we can sell to spend on Ukrainian hookers and bullets? And all the people that were involved in the supply chain to produce, to, you know, keep the Ukrainian hookers and the bullet makers in business. What happens to them when we run out of the ability to issue debt, sell fucking debt in order to buy Ukrainian hookers and bullets? Those people have to be put out of work. That's called a recession. It's called malinvestment. And when the money has been badly invested, what happens is you wind up with a boom in terms of GDP growth that is unsustainable. It's built on debt. It's built on the mispricing of risk. It's built on interest rates being wrong. It alters the structure of production across the entire economy. It overproduces bullets and Ukrainian hookers as opposed to roads and food. Like, this is, you know, what people actually want. So when you alter the structure of production like that, eventually you run out of time You run out of actual resources that are actually available. The prices of what resources are available wind up going up. We to an unsustainable level, and eventually everybody looks around and goes, you know what? I can't finish the projects that I wanted to build. There isn't enough money. There isn't enough assets. Finish building the apartment complex, or building, finishing the bullets. Or you get cases and projectiles but no primers, right? So then you're left with a bunch of, left with millions of 2/3 finished bullets. Or in the case of the car industry, a whole bunch of cars that are missing a $7 fucking chip that no one can seem to build. Right? This, eventually, all those jobs that were maintained while these imbalances were building up eventually have to be liquidated. And those people have to go find new work. And that's called a recession. And that's why unemployment rises. And that's why we stop spending money, because we can't afford it. And that's why eventually the Fed has to raise interest rates, not to, generally speaking, not to lead the market higher, to follow the market higher. The market is generally saying, look, we want higher rates. We want a higher return on our investment for foregoing the use of our money. Like, that's what debt's supposed to be. I have $100. You need $100. I lend it to you. But if I really need that $100 and you really need that $100, well, I got news for you. The more I need that $100, the higher the interest rate I'm going to charge you for borrowing my $100, for me to forego using that $100 for something else that I want to use it for, so that you can use it in the interim. And eventually you're going to pay me back, I don't know, $105 or $108 or $110 or whatever it is. And I'm going to forego, buying a new desk for my office or whatever, and you're going to put gas in your car. But eventually you're going to pay me back the $110, and then I'm going to be able to buy a desk and $10. I can, whatever. I'll put my computer on my kitchen table for a couple of months while you do the thing, right? That's the way debt's supposed to work. So when the market starts asking for a higher rate of return on whatever capital it's going to forego saving, or it's going to forego using for other means, it's going to ask for a higher rate of return. That's why eventually the central bank has to follow the market higher. This is Austrian economics 101, guys. Like, it's not, even the Keynesians don't even argue with this. They understand basic interest rate theory. They just think that they can print money and circumvent the process. No one wants to go through the pain of a recession, because that's politically unsavory or whatever the hell it is. But the truth of the matter is that the recession is the cure for the unsustainable boom. Now, when you have a sustainable boom, and even so, the business cycle still goes, the business cycle is still a cycle. There's no way of smoothing out the business cycle without creating bigger and bigger problems down the line. All you're doing is kicking the can down the road from the day when you have to liquidate all the malinvestment, by piling more malinvestment on top of more malinvestment. That's it. Boy. So that's why none want to declare it a recession. That's why none on Capitol Hill want to admit that the Biden administration is a junta, or anything else. They just want to continue to deny reality for as long as possible, while they continue to try and run their agenda and break as many things as possible, all the while saying, but we're not the vandals. We're not the ones who broke it. It was all broken before we got here. Or it's all going to be broken after. It's not our fault. The Fed's blame. Now they're just trying to blame the Fed for it. Like, you guys broke every fucking thing. The Fed's trying to fix what you broke. Ridiculous. And I'm not even a big fan of the Fed. You guys know I hate the Fed. But right now, no. Like, the Fed's doing the right thing. And the Fed's doing the right thing for fundamentally different reasons that I have time to talk about here on YouTube, but I will talk about when I get over to Odysee. For those of you who are new, for those of you who have been around for a while, you almost know what I'm going to say. So, all right. So the Fed's going to raise at least 75 basis points. The TLDR on all of this is the Fed's going to raise interest rates by at least 75 basis points on Wednesday, most likely 75. But it could be more than that. depending on what the LIBOR and what was the LIBOR 1 month printed. Did we get the print yet today? No, we haven't gotten it yet. When we get the 1 month LIBOR print for today, we'll know whether or not we're going to get 75 or 100. But it looks like we're going to get 75. And that's fine. Fed's got plenty of room to go to 4% by the end of the year, which is Powell's goal. He's not going to change that. And that's that. So for those of you who have comments or questions that you want me to answer, we'll be doing that over on Odysee. The YouTube stream, we don't do that on. I just rant into a microphone for minutes, and then I move over to Odysee and let what's left of my hair down. Because if you think this is spicy, just wait. All right. So one more time with feeling into the chat, and then I will actually put it in the link to the stream eventually. So let's get over there. We'll do the thing, and we'll go to Odysee. I'll play better music and, say something even more inflammatory than I already have so far. All right, you guys be well. You take care. We'll talk soon. We'll talk about 5